Just in case you didn't know, I'm a law professor. Actually, I've been in law school for almost half my life. I'm also director of academic success, and my goal is to foster the success of my students. So, in all my years of teaching, I've been noticing that particularly my underperforming students are very stressed. And it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. I don't know if their underperformance causes the stress or if their stress causes the underperformance. But I do know that once the cycle gets started, it feeds on itself. And we all know that too much stress isn't good for you. Not good for your health, not good for learning. So I've been on a quest. I've been on a quest to figure out what causes this stress. Why are they feeling so horrible? What is it all about? Because I figured that if I could find the cause, I can figure out the solution. So what I'm going to do today is share with you a few things I'm learning on my journey, and it is a continuing journey. What I've discovered is that people really would like to know that there's one thing. And if I had to generalize, I would tell you that the cause of stress in law school is that it is a significant, substantial transition. Learning to think like a lawyer is a major change. And change is hard. And change is stressful. So I think that that is a great generalization, but that's not particularly helpful. So if I try to break it down to a more individual level, what do I come up with? Not one thing. Because you see, every student experiences law school differently. They all sit in the same class, they all hear the same professors, but they each perceive it through their own lens. They each come to law school not as a clean slate, but with their own prior knowledge. They come with facts and figures in their head, with assumptions and beliefs and experiences that color the way they perceive law school, that color the whole experience. And so, since they're not a clean slate, we have to figure out what to do about that. What I realized is that they come with all this prior knowledge, and we have to figure out how that plays in. Why do we care about the prior knowledge? We care because the studies show that new knowledge builds upon prior knowledge. So if we're going to build on the prior knowledge, we should probably have a good idea of how it works. So that clean slate isn't a clean slate. What we know is that if you have accurate and appropriate for the situation knowledge, if you come in and it's accurate and appropriate, it will help you learn. But if it's inaccurate or inappropriate for the situation, then it's going to hinder learning. Okay, so what I'm here to really tell you today is what I think I've discovered along the way is that the hardest part of law school isn't learning anything new we try to teach them. It's not learning to think like a lawyer or read or brief or legal analysis or oral argument or anything else. The hardest part of law school is unlearning those preconceived notions they come to law school with, giving those up to make room for the new. So I want to talk about two kinds of prior knowledge. The first is easier, so I'll deal with that, the facts and figures, the lay notions they all enter our class with, right? I teach contracts, and they come in thinking, that's a contract. That piece of paper, that's a contract. My property friends tell me they come in thinking property is tangible. And I can't do the law and order sound good, but dun dun, that's how they come into crim law. And in all of our classes, they come in thinking that there is a right answer. But we all know that those are not true. Those lay notions aren't. But we can identify them in the classroom, and we can address them. So those are easily addressed, or relatively easily. The harder ones, however, are the ones that deal with the preconceived notions of ideas and beliefs. The ones where my students come in, sometimes not even conscious, thinking, law school's just like undergrad. I know how to read. I know how to brief. I know how to study for exams, and I know what the professor wants on the answer. I'm good at exams. These are the ones that are challenging because sometimes they're not even stated. They don't even realize they have them. And as Daniel Borstein says, the greatest obstacle to knowledge, the greatest obstacle to knowledge is not ignorance. It's the illusion of knowledge. That perception they have that they know. So, we have these students who have these beliefs, and I think it's hindering their learning. So what can we do to help them recognize these assumptions and beliefs so that maybe they can change them? I have 3 suggestions. First, we can be more transparent. Okay, what do I mean by that? For years at orientation, I have told my students how to read for law school. I have told them it will take them more time. I have given them a read-through. I've shown them a sample brief. I have told them what to do from here on the podium. And some listen, but a lot don't. They know how to read. So I've learned to be more transparent. And I go in and I say, yes, I know. You know how to read. You were very successful at reading in undergraduate, but there's a big difference between reading in undergraduate and reading in law school. Do you know what that is? Do you know what the difference is? The difference is that in undergrad, you primarily read secondary sources. They were already distilled and analyzed for you. In law school, you're reading all these cases, and you're the one who distills them and analyzes them. That's why briefing is so helpful. And so when I tell them this and explain to them the why, I have some more success. The second thing I try to do is use non-legal examples to show them the problems that can arise when they have assumptions that they haven't recognized, that they haven't factored in. For this, I like to do the exercise of teach me how. I ask a student to teach me something they knew before they came to law school. My favorite was the ballet dancer. So I asked her to show me how to do a plie, and she told me. She taught me how to do a plie. She said, put your heels together and bend. So I did. Heels together, bend. She was not happy, because clearly I had not done a plie. But I followed her instructions. I put my heels together and bend. But she wanted me to put my heels together with the toes facing out, and when I bent, she wanted it to come from the knees going over the toes. Okay, I'm not a dancer, but that was closer. So, this moment when she realized that the instructions she had given, which were so clear to her, had assumed numerous things. And in that moment, she could begin to realize that she had to start thinking about and checking out her assumptions. Finally, early assessment. Now this is last, but this is definitely not least. Okay, we've all heard the story about the kid who's told not to touch the hot stove. And what does the child do? Touch the hot stove. Because sometimes you just have to learn by experience. Same way in law school. Sometimes no matter what we tell them, how many upper-level classmen swear to them, how many professors tell them, how many web blogs they read that tell them, they have to experience it for themselves. So what I like to do is offer a mock midterm. Very early in the semester, I sit them down as if it were an exam. I hand it out as if it were an exam, the exam instructions. I time it, I collect it, and I grade it off my exam rubric. And I hand it back to them. And for a whole bunch more students, suddenly, oh, I get it. So, these are 3 ways that we can begin to help our students recognize that some of the prior knowledge they are bringing with them to law school is actually hindering their learning. And it's in that process that they are getting very stressed. And so, while I know I will continue to meet resistors along my path, I will charge on, seeking to get more of them sooner. Thank you.